Hi, how are you? Well, here's Steph world. According to Steph, 36. How about that? Oh boy, yesterday was quite a rough day for me. You know, when you're challenged, as I am. Beautiful song, by the way, isn't it? It's called Fairy Tales by Anita Baker.
She said he'd be so nice. He'd ride up on his horse and take me away one night.
I love him.
I'd be so happy with him. We ride without a sign.
That's called a natural gift. You know, so many of us have natural gifts. The question is, do we use them? I think fear has a lot to do with whether or not we take those gifts and we grab hold of them and we don't let go. I think it's fear. I really do. You have to believe in yourself. You really do. You got to truly believe in yourself, whether anybody else does or not. She said you'd come to save me, swim through the stormy seas. I'd understand the story, it would be good for me. You never came to save me, you let me stand alone out in the wilderness, alone in the cold. I just love this song. I'll probably put it online too because it's just a beautiful song. But we're going to talk a little bit about what she says in this and what she does in this. See, we rely on humans to come and save us. That's not gonna happen. But you know what? We will be saved. We just have to have that faith. I'm not talking about a religion thing, so let's not believe that. I'm talking about a God thing. So beautiful. I've been a little in the dumps lately, and I need stuff like this to push me forward, to make me feel better. You know, I went to the doctor yesterday and he said, well, shouldn't you be over that with my son? And I said, Doc, I want to ask you something, because he's only a couple of years older than me. I said, how would you feel if you lost one of your children? And I know how important his kids are. And he said in a Scottish accent, I'd be devastated. And I said, yes, you would be. And that devastation
It doesn't go away. Not for a parent. Every time that time comes up, we feel that devastation. Every time that moment in time happens. And it doesn't matter if it was a day ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It happened. It happened to our cherished child. And by that I mean all of our children are cherished. We need to wake up. We need to start thinking about this. It's not just protecting our children. What are we teaching our children? We have a new thing that we must start deciding to do. It's something that I tried to do with my own children. I wasn't all that successful, but I was a little bit. Which goes to show that, I didn't put that much effort into it. Now think about if you put a lot of effort into it, what would happen? Now here's what I'm going to explain to you. What am I talking about? I'm talking about two things. One, realizing that when that little baby laying in your arms comes to us, I think I got a picture of mine somewhere on here. Oh, I might have taken it there. Go to the I got him there. He was something, let me tell you. But I'll put his pictures out just as a reminder. He was something else. He was something. Now all my children were something, not just him. Not just him. They all. Ooh, we got stuff there. Okay, I hope that turned it off. Anyway, let's get back to this. Yes, unfortunately I messed up on that, but you have to forgive me. I'm in the learning stage of putting this together. Isn't life a learning stage? I think it is. I think every lifetime is a learning stage, and what do I mean by that? Isn't it possible that we're here more than once? Does that not ever occur to you? If you don't already believe in it? If you're a Christian and you read the Bible, read the New Testament, read what Jesus Christ said, think you might be a bit surprised. I think you probably think, oh, I've already read the Bible. I didn't say anything about reincarnation or multiple lifetimes. Yes, you did. Now, I am going to talk about that. And don't click me off just because I said I talked about it, okay? Whether I'm right or wrong doesn't matter. Let's talk about what's going on with our souls, okay? Because that all fits right in to these children that we're bringing into the world. It's all connected. Whether you want to believe that or not, it is. Now, I've talked about this before. It's called shame and guilt. We've all had to live with it within ourselves. Have you ever asked yourself, what am I feeling shameful for? What am I feeling guilty for? You think it's something that you just did the other day, or maybe you did 5 years ago or 10 years ago? No. No, because once you figure out or you get help in finding out just where that shame and guilt came from, guess what? You'll never feel it again. And that's the truth. I don't feel shame and guilt. Not for a darn thing. Not ever. That's been removed. And with God's help, it was removed. I don't feel shame or guilt over anything. I have been forgiven. Now, how about you? You still feel that? Shame and guilt? I'm not even sure I remember what it feels like anymore. And that's one of the things that's on my gratitude list, by the way. I'm going to tell you something right now. That shame and guilt started way back when you were a little kid, when you were teeny tiny. And when those parents were trying to be really good parents and give you the best growing up time they could, they really tried. But one little item that they added into that growing up part was shame and guilt. Now, don't start getting mad at them just because it happened. They didn't know. They had to go through it too. You know, usually as parents, most generally, and a psychologist and a psychiatrist will tell you any day of the week, usually what is inside of you growing up, you're going to pass on to your little ones in some way, shape, or form. You will. And even when you say you're not going to do it, you end up doing it. I know. I was a child, I was a mother, and now I'm a grandmother. And I've watched a lot of stuff in my lifetime. I've watched my mother, and I've watched myself, and I've watched my children. I'm a watcher. There's a lot of things I miss, but when it comes to the family, that's one thing I don't miss. They think I do, but no. I'm watching. Now, somewhere I did something right. And it might not have seemed that way to my daughter, but somehow, some way, I did something right. Something that seemed like it wasn't going to work out very good worked out great. My grandchildren are so special, and it's not just because I'm their grandmother, believe me. They're on the way of being grown up already, believe me. They got great heads on their shoulders, and they do wonderful things. A lot more than what I did when I was their age. When I was their age, I was raising hell. Believe me, I was a hell raiser. And if you don't believe me, just ask anybody that knew me, any of my siblings. And I got a friend that I knew back then who I'm still friendly with. She could tell you all about Steph the Hellraiser. They even had to put me away for a while because I went kind of cuckoo, really crazy, drug, all kinds of stuff. And back then, not too many people at my age were busy being hellraisers like me. Trust me. But there were a few of us. And then back then, they didn't know for sure what the heck to do with us because they weren't used to it. You know, it turned out that the really highly intelligent children during that time period seemed to be more the hellraisers than the average normal human being. It's something that I've kind of put together and I've read a lot about. Okay, so Hellraiser Steph, angry at the world, and leave me alone, and a few other nasty words that I'm not going to say, produced 3 children. One then passed away 2 years ago. 2 years ago this week. It's been a rough week. You know, it's pretty amazing. Now, he didn't follow his God-given gifts or soul gifts. I like to call them more, they were God-given, but the question is, when? Or, should I say, at some point maybe in his lives, he picked up those gifts. Now, he did great things in his lifetime here. Boy, did he do wonderful things. He was a wonderful soldier. And he had cerebral palsy, and that was pretty dramatic to raise a child that was fighting, trying to be normal. My child did everything in his power to be like the other kids. And you know what? He succeeded. He succeeded. I had a speech therapist tell me one time, she said, "Ma'am, your son should be drooling terribly. And he seems to have his speech under control unbelievably well." She was dumbfounded, just dumbfounded. Well, what people don't understand or realize about Matt was that he had cerebral palsy much worse than they realized, even the neurologists. Matt worked so hard. at controlling his muscles so they wouldn't go like this all the time. And so his toes wouldn't curl up like this. And believe me, they did. Because I could see it. Many occasions he would be tired. And when he was tired, he just didn't work at controlling this so that these could open up. You ever see a cerebral palsy child or adult? If you've ever seen one for real, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, Matt looked like he was normal. And by the time he was 18 years old, boy, he was kicking butt. He had already learned taught himself how to play guitar. All types of guitar playing. Bass, all of them, every bit of them. He taught himself. He also taught himself how to play drums. He was in a band that he started. They went out on the road right after he graduated high school, and they even did a CD. And not only that, Matt wrote some songs that were amazing. Absolutely amazing. I haven't heard anything close to the music and the words and the way that he put that together. Not yet. And I told him one day, Matt, this is phenomenal. It's something new. But you know, Matt was Matt. And it was like he was in a hurry. Had to get this done, had to do this, had to go there, had to do that. Now I know why he was in a hurry. He only was going to be having 34 years on this earth. So he had to make the most of it. Well, he did. He was a musician. He was an artist. Oh boy, could he draw. And he joined the army. And when he joined the army, woo, he blew all of them right out of the water. If you watch my video about his funeral, his army funeral, they talk about it. They really do. Didn't even know he had cerebral palsy. Didn't even know it. Anyway, let's talk about my daughter. That's another interesting example of wow. When she was about 4 years old, she told me, Mommy, I want to be a mother and I'm going to have 4 children. 4 years old. Now, when she was all through school, she was an A student. We're talking highly intelligent child. When she was in high school, she could graduate at the end of her junior year. But she continued on for a while. And then something happened. She had met a young man who was a little older than her, and she thought she was in love. Maybe she was. And one October in her senior year, she and I had a disagreement, and next thing you know, she left. See, she knew she was going to do that. She was just waiting for the opportunity, for the reason to do that. And she did it. Now, what did she do? She had 3 children, and guess what she is? For the most part, she is a mother. At 4 years old, she told me that's what she was going to be. And that's what she is. Pretty cool, isn't it? You know, I can remember my brother, one of my brothers. I have 2. Now, I don't talk about either one of them really, but I will say this about my older, or not, he wasn't older than me, but he was next in line, shall we say. And he was close to me. Both my brothers were very, very close to me. We had a lot in common when it came to our parents. And I'm not going to get into that right now. But I'll never forget him telling the family that he was going to be a bum when he grew up. And you know, my dad and my mother, they just laughed it off like it wasn't really going to happen. Guess what? It did. For many years, we could not do anything to help my brother. He was a bum. Lived out in the woods in the tent. He knows how to survive, let me tell you. The stories I could tell you about my brother would just blow your mind. I have an interesting family. There's no question about that. But anyway, he's a trickster too. I like to refer to it as that. He met a lady online in Australia, and she fell in love with him. Well, you know what? He is a good-looking man, and not only that, he does have good qualities about him. You just have to look for them, but they're there. And she saw him, and she fell in love with him. So today, they've been married for many years now. He's not a bum anymore, but he doesn't work. Anyway, there's a point to all this. Those are 2 examples of small children determining what they plan to be and what they end up being in their childhood, early in their childhood, very early. My daughter was 4 years old. She hadn't even started school yet. That was kind of shocking to me when she came right out and said that. The soul knows. The soul knows. When a child is born, its soul is up front, ahead of the mind. Now, I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but I'll try to explain this as best I can. The soul is in front, so to speak. It knows what's going on. Have you ever seen a little newborn baby just looking around, checking things out? Because I have. I used to like to go and look at the baby places, whenever my daughter would have a baby. I'd go and check out the other babies and just watch them. And there they'd be, just looking around, checking things out. Because you know what? They were a new soul in a new place. And maybe, if it's possible, about reliving, coming back again. And I'm talking about the soul, not the mind. Those are two different things. You got to remember that. You got to separate that in your own mind. You have to know that the soul and the mind are totally two different things, even though there are times when they seem to connect, but they do disconnect at two times, when we're born and when we die. They are not connected with those two times. Not yet. Now, I've talked a lot about Hermes lately to try to help explain ancient man's philosophy on the one God and how the universe works. Well, now I'm explaining it in a different way. Okay? Now I'm explaining it from the viewpoint of the 21st century and the fact that we probably know much, much less than they did back in the ancient times. And I'm not putting us down, don't even think that. I just think that we need to open up our minds and our souls. We need to get in touch with the soul that is within us. Now, there's a wonderful way of doing that. It's called meditation. And today I meditated for an hour and a half. I had no idea of time. You know why? Because I let my soul be in charge, not me, not my mind. It was my soul. I refused to allow my mind to interfere with wherever and whatever my soul was supposed to be doing or wanted to do. Well, sometimes I even get visions. Now I've decided that when that happens, I write it down, I date it, and I got a little box over there that I put it in. One of those visions that I had over the weekend might be coming true right now as I speak. I'll tell you about it in about I'll say a month from now. I'll talk about it then. The point is that when we allow our souls to be in control, to come forward, it is amazing where we can go and what we can do. Now, if you're a Christian and you believe in, well, all three of the major religions definitely believed in Jesus the Christ, okay? Well, Jesus the Christ talked about the fact that we could heal ourselves, we could do all kinds of things. And he told us that. Now, how many people do you know do any of that? How many? I bet most of you don't know anybody. Not really. Well, now you do. I can't do everything yet, but for me, that's a yet. Because I'm going to keep working at it until I can. Because I have to. I am challenged physically. And if I truly believe and have faith, then I know that I can be healed physically. I know that. But the problem is, do I have enough faith for it? And then there's something else. Maybe I want to be like this. Gotta ask myself that a lot. Do you really want to be healed, Steph, or do you just say that? Yep, phone's ringing, so I'm gonna have to let y'all go. I love ya. Bye-bye.